Hey everybody, welcome to the full button tutorial of the 2025 Toyota Grand Highlander LE all-wheel drive. This is the gas model. It's a very simple car. It's a base model in the Grand Highlander world, but it still has a lot of buttons. So let's go over them all together. Let's begin. Starting on the door, every Grand Highlander comes with auto down, auto up windows all around, so with a hard pull or a hard push, it's hands-free. Just give it a quick push or pull and the windows go up or down on their own. Now in front of those over here is the window lock button, so passengers cannot open the window, with a little LED green light to signify that it's on. And working our way north are the lock and unlock buttons for the doors. So if you feel, the lock button has these two little nubbies. So you don't really have to look down at it, you can just search for it by feeling for the two little nubs, and you can lock the doors like that. In front of those we have the L or the R for the mirror. So if I hit the L, I can toggle the mirror adjustment for the left door. Then if I hit the R, I can toggle the right mirror, and then there's a neutral position in the middle so I don't accidentally mess up my mirror adjustments. For the driver's seat adjustment, there's a simple electronic recliner over here, like this, for my back. Then I can go forward or back, up and down if I pull it towards me or away. And I can even twist to create a little bit more or a little bit less femur support. It does not protrude out for femur support, so it's only up, down, or a twist. Down below for the floor mat are two locks for the locking floor mats. So with a quarter turn, you can pull and release the floor mat and then lock it back into place because you don't want your floor mat to go under your brake pedal. And while we're down here, we have a lever and a button. Over here is the lever to pop the hood, and next to that is a push button to unlock the locking gas cap. Or for better words, the door. Here's a little bit of storage. And above, working our way up the dash, is the button to activate the auto high beams, which will only be active when the headlights are in automatic, which we'll get to soon when we get to the steering wheel stalks. On the right, just a quick push and hold for about a second, and the hatchback will open up. And a quick push to close it. You can also stop it by doing a very fast tap to adjust where your hatchback stops. Now remember, the electronic hatchback is height adjustable, so you can stop the hatchback, go outside, and hold the button that closes it down until it beeps 4 times, and that's your new height on your adjustable hatchback. Working our way up, we have a couple more buttons. Here's the odometer and trip, which will show on the information display where the speedometer is. So you can push to go through trip A, trip B, and the odometer. And then this is the brightness to the speedometer and the interior buttons, so this will make things brighter or less bright at nighttime. The steering wheel can be adjusted by pulling this lever down. Then it can be telescoped, or it can go up and down. Once you find the right spot for you, you can lock it right back into place. The left stalk is for the lights and turn signals. So this little notch tells you what position you're in. This position is daytime running lights off, which means there will be no lights on at all. The next position is my favorite. It gives you daytime running lights, and then when you're driving in a dark area or at nighttime, it'll kick on the taillights and light up the interior buttons and put your main beams on, and also activate those wonderful automatic high beams. The next position is parking lights. So say you want your interior lights to be lit up and you want to be identified at night, but you don't want to be shining your bright lights into a business or a home. This cuts down the brightness of the headlights while leaving some light on the outside illuminated. The last position is all the lights on all the time, in case you manually want all of the lights to be on right then and there. For the signal, it's regular operation. However, if you do a quick tap and release, it'll give you 3 little blinks, and that's for both sides. Great for merging on the highway. The stalk on the right is for the wiper blades. So there are 4 different positions. The first position is off. If I bring it down again into intermittent, you can use this ring, which has a nice grip on the top to change how often the wiper blades go. They are not rain sensing, so this just changes the timing. Down again will be low constant, and down to the very bottom is going to be high constant for the really bad rain. Now this section over here is for the back wiper. You have 3 choices: off, intermittent, which does not react with this, and then on. So that's going to be constant back and forth for really, really bad precipitation. If you pull the stalk towards you, it washes the front windshield. If you push it away, it's going to wash the back windshield. Just make sure you push and hold for a few seconds because that washer fluid has to travel across the whole car. Now onto the steering wheel. There are 2 pads, one on the left, one on the right. No buttons in the back, so we're going to start with the left side. The left pad has the arrows that go up and down, side to side for the MID, which stands for multi-information display. That's going to be coming next. There's also a select and a back button for that multi-information display. Sometimes you'll have to push and hold the OK button when you're operating the MID, and sometimes you just push it quickly, which you'll notice when we go over that screen. You can also answer and hang up phone calls with this button. If you push it, it'll prompt you to connect a phone to Bluetooth, or it'll go onto your phone menu if you're already connected. And then down below is the volume selection up and down for phone calls or music. And last is the voice command button. If you push and quickly release, it will prompt the Toyota software system to do audio commands, but if you push and hold for about 2 seconds, you'll be able to operate Siri or the Google Assistant. Onto the right side of the steering wheel, most of these buttons operate the cruise control and the sensitivity to that cruise control and the safety system, and then a couple more music buttons. So starting with the top left, this activates the cruise control. Then you can increase the speed or decrease the speed. If you step on the brake, you can resume by hitting the plus where it says res for resume. You can also cancel the cruise control like this with the cancel button, and you can change the mode because all Toyotas now come with the adaptive cruise control, and you can revert to the constant speed cruise control if you'd like to. On the bottom left is a lane tracing assist, which will also give you intersection support on some Toyotas. That's part of Toyota Safety Sense. That's basically going to keep you in the center of your lane. And then lastly, on the bottom right, you have the following distance or sensitivity to the cruise control and the pre-collision system, which you can change in real time, which will show you gray bars while you are driving on the Speedo Cluster. On the very bottom is the mode button, which will go through AM, FM, Bluetooth, and Sirius. If you push and hold, it'll pause the music. And then we have the seek and track for the AM and FM radio. It'll go through different presets, or it'll go through your songs when you're connected to Bluetooth. The Speedo Cluster has an 8-inch screen with a more retro modern style for the coolant temperature on the very far left with notches and the fuel level on the very far right. There's a bunch of symbols and it can be a little overwhelming at first, but starting with the top left of the screen is the outside temperature, the top right is the time, the bottom right is the range, so how much you have left for your tank based on your average mileage, and the bottom left is your odometer. Now remember, we can use that trip and odometer button to go through the trip and odometer. We have a large rainbow style for the tachometer, and inside is the digital speed. Right below the digital speed, it tells us what gear we're in. So if you go to drive, neutral, reverse, it shows us right there. A couple other symbols. So this top left symbol here shows us that we're in the adaptive cruise control. The symbol on the right with the lanes is going to be a lane trace assist, and then down below with a little car going out of the lane diagonally means lane departure alert is active. The two red ones are that my seatbelt is not buckled and the parking brake is on. Now with the electronic automatic applying parking brake, when I take it out of park, it releases. When I put it back in park, the brake reapplies itself, which is really nice. The little gray steering wheel symbol over here just lets me know that my lane trace assist is active with the intersection support. So it's basically going to give me green, gray, or orange, depending on if it's sensing me going out of my lane. And then you'll see those notches like I promised I'd show you. I can change the sensitivity level on the fly. Now, what shows inside of this tachometer is called the MID. So I can use the arrows on the steering wheel to change that information. And now we're going to be going through the different menus. So if I go up and down, you'll see there's different icons on that bar on the side. We have the economy menu, the compass, music. Now remember, this compass is also the driving support. The music menu, vehicle information menu, settings menu, and warnings. Now if you see little dots on the bottom, you can go side to side to different pages. So starting with the economy menu, page 1 shows the trip average. Remember, this is a brand new car that really hasn't been driven much, so it's not going to be calculating much for regular mileage. You can hold OK to reset it. If I go to the right, there's one more page. That's the real-time eco indicator based on my throttle input. Now down to that, what I call compass menu or the safety sense menu, depending on if you're equipped with the digital compass. This is just showing me my real-time sensitivity level, which I can change the bars like this, the following distance. And the adaptive cruise mode is ready to go. It's going to show me different colors depending on what the safety sense system is doing, like blinking gray, solid gray, green, orange, if it successfully got you back in the lane or is keeping you in your lane. Really useful when you're using cruise control. If I go over, there it is, the digital compass, and on some Toyotas it'll even show you the road you're driving on the bottom. Over here is music, so it's going to show you what you're listening to, the source, it's going to show you the artist, the album, etc., and you can push OK and you can change the source. Down here is the information menu, so this has a lot of pages. Page 1 is going to show us the distance we drove and the time the vehicle's been running. Page 2, moving to the right, shows us our Trip A information, Trip B information, are individual tire pressures. Very nice to see. I hope Toyota makes this standard on every car. The all-wheel drive monitor to see how much power we're getting to each wheel, because that's going to change depending on the demand. And back to the beginning. Down here is where it gets a little advanced. So this is where we can actually change some settings to the vehicle and the Toyota Safety Sense safety suite that the vehicle comes with. Now remember, Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 is standard on every new Grand Highlander, which comes with your automatic high beams, your lane departure alert, pre-collision system, and adaptive cruise. Some Toyotas are going to have extras. Now, Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 has added the proactive driving assist, which is the fifth one over to the right we're going to get to. But starting with this is a little speedometer symbol over here. If I push and hold OK, I can change the brightness on my own here digitally. Say I don't want to reach for that button that was on the dash like we were looking at before. Over is the lane departure alert, so I can turn it on or off, or I can hold OK to change the settings. So I can change the alert on or off, the options to steering wheel vibrate or sound, and the alert timing to see how sensitive it is. That's the feature that basically tells you you're going out of your lane and tries to steer you back in. Next is the blind spot monitor. I can turn it on or off. Or if I hold OK, I can change the timing, the brightness to the bulbs on the mirrors, or the buzzer alert on and off. So that's when somebody's riding your blind spot and you signal. Pre-collision system with pedestrian detection. So that's a little picture of two cars crashing. This is the feature where the camera and radar device are going to sense that your speed difference is high, a collision is imminent, and it's going to alert you to brake. If you don't brake, it brakes on its own. So if I hold OK, I can change the timing, and I can turn it on or off. Proactive driving assist. Now this comes off from the factory because it's a little spooky to some people at first. It gives you gentle steering and deceleration input while driving. Say you're taking turns a little too quick. So I can turn it on or off, or if I hold OK, I can change the sensitivity. I can turn the steering assist on or off. I can turn the deceleration assist on or off. And the obstacle anticipation assist. So it'll sense if you're about to hit an obstacle and react to it. I can turn that on or off. Next, the rear cross traffic alert. This uses the blind spot monitor sensors to basically give you a sequence of 4 beeps. It sounds like this: beep, 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 beep. And it lets you know that there's movement, specifically cars driving perpendicular to you that you can't normally see while backing up. Great for the parking lot. I can change the volume. That's pretty much it, or turn it on and off. Now here's one of my favorites, safe exit assist. When you're opening your door after you got to where you're going, and there's a car coming up behind you, the blind spot monitor sensors will sense from far away that there's a car coming and it's going to alert you. So I can turn that on or off, or I can change the sensitivity, and I can even decide if the mirrors do the strobing light to indicate what's going on. Here's road sign assist, also standard with Toyota Safety Sense. This will read certain road signs and display them on the screen that we're looking at. I can turn it on or off, or change some of the settings, specifically if I'm going over the speed limit. And I can change what level over the speed limit it alerts me, which is nice. And here's some vehicle settings. If I hold OK, the driver brake suggestion, so the sway warning will basically sense if I'm driving tired and alert me to take a break. The dynamic radar cruise control, which some people call adaptive cruise, I can adjust the acceleration level, the guide messaging, and the curve speed reduction. That's also standard on Toyota Safety Sense. The power back door, aka the electronic adjustable hatchback. I can do the opening adjustment from here, different levels. Of course, there's a video on my channel where you can customize it on the fly. Just push and hold that button from the outside of the hatch, right inside the lip. Hold it until it beeps a bunch of times and you've got your new height. I can change the volume to the beep when it opens. Continuing down, the tire pressure warning system. I can do a tire reset, tire rotation, tire pressure settings, all that custom stuff. Usually maintenance will do that for you. Speaking of maintenance, I can reset my scheduled maintenance and my oil maintenance. The auto start-stop system. So if I push OK, I can do standard or extended. That's the feature where the vehicle turns off at the red lights. Rear seat reminder is going to beep when I turn the vehicle off. If you don't like that, you can turn it off. And the stoplight display. So for the brake lights, when you step on the brakes, you'll see those 2 little red bars. If I don't like those and they're distracting, I can turn them off. And it goes back to the top. Next up, meter settings. So if I hold OK, I got some language choices here. For traveling, meter style. So I can change the way that tack looks. Pretty cool, right? Look at that one. They come from the factory in the Smart style. Also the dial type. So I can make the rainbow turn into a speedometer if I don't want to see the tack. So if it's a little easier for me to go analog, I can turn it off and make it just digital. That really cleans things up. But I'll leave it where it came from. The tack is useful. I can turn the eco badge on and off. This is a little green light that pops up when you're driving pretty economically and not going crazy on the throttle. And now I can start consolidating things in the MID and decide different settings, if these different pages are even here, the different items that they show on those pages, pop-up displays, so those are like your banner alerts. I can turn those off if I want to. I can turn the MID off if I want to clean it up, and I can reset to default settings. That was a lot. Now it goes back to the beginning. And the last menu, the warnings menu, or the warnings page. That little warning symbol there in the bottom will light up orange and stay present if there is a warning message. And then every time you start the car, it's going to remind you. So if you need some air in your tires, or service is coming due, or there's something a little more severe going on, it's going to alert you. But most people's favorite page is here because they like to see their fuel economy. But depending on the model you have, certain pages show different stuff. So that pretty much wraps up the Speedo Cluster and the MID. Let's take a breather and do something a little simpler and start working with buttons down by the shifter. So before we get started with buttons by the shifter, I just wanted to take a moment and say, if you've made it this far already, please consider liking the video if you like it, and subscribe to the channel, because if you subscribe to the channel, it would be such a big help because it helps me help more people. When you simply like and subscribe, not only does it help you see more of my content, but if you never watch another video, by subscribing, it helps YouTube know to get my videos out to other people out there that might not see this Grand Highlander video or some of the other ones. So you are part of the cause and you make a much bigger difference than you know. But with that said, let's continue to buttons by the shifter. So starting by the armrest, the favorite button amongst many people is the auto start stop off. So if you don't like that feature where the engine and the whole car turns off at the red lights, you can turn it off, but here's the catch. You have to do that every time you start the car. The next button is the kill switch for the vehicle stability control and the traction control. So a couple scenarios where you might want to turn it off and use this button is you're driving on a gravel trail or a dirt road or in the deep snow at low speeds and you want to allow for a little bit of wheel spin. This prevents the system from cutting power to the wheels to regain traction. Depends on your experience level. Over here we have a pad with our drive modes. Let me just get the right angle here for you. Eco, Normal, and Sport you can change while moving or stationary. Eco is going to save you gas and depower your throttle input. Normal is going to just be kind of like regular for the normie. And Sport's going to basically hold on to revs, use all-wheel drive a little bit more, use a little bit more fuel, but it's going to make it a lot more fun to drive because it's going to be more powerful. Now, mud and sand and rock and dirt. If you're driving on one of these terrains, just push that button and it's going to modulate the way the pre-collision system is active or the all-wheel drive system, depending on what you're doing, to help you go over those terrains better and have more control. Another favorite button being up in the Northeast is the snow mode. This will take off in second gear instead of first to reduce your torque to the wheels and reduce spinning. And a button I've never used, probably out in San Francisco you might use this, decline assist control, or DAC. This will actually do the braking for you and descend down a very steep hill on its own without you doing any input besides steering. So that's a lot of buttons by the armrest for a base model. There are no buttons inside of here, just a 12-volt charger, but a couple more by the shifter over here. So this is that electronic applying parking brake that I mentioned. When you go out of park and into drive, this will disengage on its own automatically. You're going to feel it and hear it, and the red word park on the Speedo Cluster goes away. And when you reapply the shifter into park, it re-engages for you. So you never really have to touch this, but they give you the option in case you're getting the vehicle serviced. One of my favorite buttons is the hold button. So when you push this, you'll see it in green, and then you'll see it in yellow. Once you see it in yellow while you're in drive, if you come to a stop, it will let you let go. So I'll demonstrate. You have to be buckled up to make this work. All right, so I'm buckled up. So step one, I'm going to push the button, and it looks like this. Now, when I go into drive, I see it in yellow. Once you see it in yellow, you can take your foot off the brake, and the vehicle's in drive, and you're just chilling. So that's great for the drive-through, or if you have injured feet, you're feeling a little lazy. Now it only works in drive, which is nice because now you know which direction the vehicle is going to go when you give it gas. And when you give it gas, you'll see the yellow disappears. She goes forward, and once I come to a stop, hold the brake, see the yellow, I can let go. If you've parked here like this for a while, the car is going to remind you, hey, you got to put me in park or drive. Done. Now, speaking of the shifter, push this little button here, overhand grip, down to drive. You can also go into manual mode, and you can toggle through all of the 8 gears, which is really nice. And it's going to show you on the Speedo Cluster to hold your revs. Back over to drive, back into park, park and brake applies. Now, speaking of this shifter, we also have this guy, the dynamic reverse camera. So we can change the grid lines. It'll show different stuff. These yellow ones are dynamic, so they move with the wheel. The red line is about a foot away, the yellow line is about 2 feet, and the third yellow line is about 3 feet. Now remember, this is all an approximation, but my favorite feature here on the Grand Highlander is this guy. A jet stream of washer fluid to wash off that camera. And you can also change the view to more of a bubble view for more peripheral. So see, I can see all the way on the side, and I can get rid of the distortion if I like. So really nice stuff at the base level. Really nice to see. Now, I get asked this all the time, and this is not a button. This little slot here is the release for the shifter. So it's basically for the neutral switch in case the car needs to get serviced when it's not running. You can use the key, slide out on the key fob to pop this open, and you can unlock the shifter. This is something that most owners will never have to worry about, but it's quick access in case you have to unlock your shifter if it gets stuck, if something really bad happens and you need to service the vehicle. Now, this is technically a button by the shifter. It's the push button starter, and since the Grand Highlander all come with the key fob, there it is. You leave this in your pocket, push the brake, give the push button to start, starts right up. To stop the vehicle, all you have to do is push the button, you don't need the brake. And the last button closer to the shifter, but really, I don't know, closer to the HVAC, is the hazards. Simple. Now let's talk about the AC system. So for the AC, we have these 2 big knobs. It's a tri-zone climate on every Grand Highlander, so, except I think the Platinum has dual in the back row. So if I'm synchronized, I can change everything like this. See, so all 3 are changing. If I turn on the rear climate, there it is. You can see it on the display. Once the passenger does their own temp, it unsynchronizes. You can hit rear climate and adjust the rear temperature, and now we can all have our own. So I got 70, 66, and 77. Say you want to synchronize, just tap sync, and you can control the whole car again from the driver's dial. Now it does come with an automatic climate, so I can just hit auto and set my temp, and it's going to modulate the air speed and the air direction for me. But say I want to do it manually, I can do this manually, and I can select where it goes. Then I can hit rear. There's a little arrow that basically points to rear, and I can change the rear climate for them. And I can hear those vents really kicking up in the back. And then once everybody's gone, I can hit auto, sync, and it's all on to me. Say you don't want the rear climate, you can power it down. You can even cancel the passenger climate right there. Recirculate is right next to AC for those really hot days. And then on the very far left are all the defrost options for the cold weather. So I got the defrosting wiper blades, defrosting side mirrors and back window, and defrosting front window. I can kill the system like this, or I can resume it with auto, or by turning up the fan speed. So that's pretty quick. It's pretty easy to use. I'd say it's relatively ergonomic, and I really like how it's not integrated into the screen. When you do put input here, you do get a little banner alert so people can see what's going on. You can get rid of those banner alerts. But yeah, very easy to use, and at nighttime it lights up really nice. In the back, there's going to be a separate unit where the back passengers can adjust it on their own, but you can see it in real time what they're doing. Moving on to the screen. So linked in the description of the video, I will have a separate link where you can tap it and you can get to my tutorial on the screen. I use an Apple phone as the tutorial for that screen. It's very similar for the Android phones, but I like to keep things concise. And if you really want to dive into that, there are some cool customizations you can do digitally that affect the car's door locks and light systems and stuff like that. So check it out. That's going to be linked down in the description below. For overhead features, The LE comes with a simple flipper here, so no automatically dimming rearview mirror. These really neat airplane-like buttons here for the map lights. And then a button that puts on the lights so that they come on when you open the door. And then a button that turns on all the lights in all 3 rows if somebody drops something. And then the button for the SOS system. You know, if you get into an accident, it'll send EMS to your location, or if you're having an emergency, you can push that on every new Toyota that comes for 10 years or until the 4G network goes away. For these guys, they slide like this, so there's no little plastic piece. Simple. And a non-LED light when you open up the mirror. So there we have it, guys. This was the 2025 Toyota Grand Highlander LE all-wheel drive. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If there's something that I missed that you wanted to go into depth a little bit more, please let me know down in the comments down below, because you know that's where you can find me. And if this is the first video you've ever watched by me, thank you so much and welcome to the channel. Please consider giving me a subscribe to see more Toyota content. But with that said, I will see you folks in the next video. This is Brian signing out. Peace.